no reactions at all in my lower body or from my chest down. I had trouble breathing as well. And they told me on the Saturday that I was going to be paralysed from the neck down, and I was going to lose my right arm as well.
Do you want to know how to get ripped at 66? Well, I know I certainly do. Well, my next guest, who I'm super excited to chat to, is going to know exactly how to do that because he's 66 and he's ripped. So in today's episode, I'm going to be chatting with Ray Conway, and he has been a personal trainer for as long as I have, 25, 26 years. But he actually started working in the city, and it was a serious motorbike accident that led him down a completely different path. We talk about that whole journey in today's episode, how it changed his mindset and what it taught him about recovery and resilience. Let's get into it. Ray, thank you for coming on today's show. Good to see you face to face, because I don't think I've actually seen you face to face for years, like potentially almost 10 years. So it's good to see you.
Yeah, about 2017, I think, is the last time.
2017, so it's about 8 years then, I suppose, isn't it? Been looking to chat to you for a while now, so should we just get straight into it?
My name is Ray Conway. I'm a 66-year-old personal trainer. I work mainly out of a very exclusive gym in the city called City Athletic, and I do a lot of work online as well. I've been doing this job now officially for 25 years, but really I've been doing it all my life. I've been coaching kids and football and martial arts and everything since far back as I can remember.
Yeah, and you didn't start out in life that way, did you? Because I know you were a city trader once upon a time. So what made you leave being a city trader to becoming a personal trainer?
Not by choice. I was working in the London International Financial Futures Exchange, and a little bit of work in the stock exchange before that. And that went computerized literally just before the millennium. And when it went, it's a bit like a coal mines being closed down. All of a sudden, one day you had a flourishing business, and the next day the place was shut. It all went online. So that was the reason I got out of it, really. It wasn't by choice. I was super doing it today. I think if it was still around, it was, great money and great buzz and a lot of fun. And while I was kind of closing my company down and what have you, I got asked by a friend of mine to do this. But at the time, I was doing all little bits and pieces. I had a friend of mine who had a gym in Ilford, Essex, and I used to give him weekends off so I could run a gym for him. I had another guy who was teaching kids jiu-jitsu in the evening, and another guy who was going into his company and training his staff a couple of afternoons on circuit training. So I was always doing it without really wanting to. It's all people just asking me to do stuff.
Can you remember what year this was?
Yeah, around 2000. When it went, so I was busy closed down my company, and I was just getting bits and pieces that way, but I've always been teaching kids football and lots of other stuff. I've very much been into my sport from a very, very young age.
It sounds like we've been in the industry for almost the exact same length of time then, because I qualified in 99, and so around the same time. And so of all the options out there, you suddenly find yourself in a position where you've got to pick a new career. Was it the obvious choice?
In my way, I suppose it was, because it was kind of my hobby. It became my profession. I didn't pick it. I was doing bits and pieces, and a friend of mine was running a company called Body Reform, which was a very prestigious personal training company in Cannons in London. And I went and trained with him one day, and he said to me, "You fancy being a PT with us?" And I went, "Not really, mate. Don't fancy it at all, actually." And then he literally phoned me back a week later and said, "Look, I've got all New Zealanders and Australians working for me. Just help me out for a couple of months because we're all going home for Christmas." And he's a really good friend. So I went in there and just did my own thing for about 3 months, and then 3 months becomes 6 months, becomes 25 years.
Well, you obviously were enjoying it and good at it. So it was like, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
No, it changed so much though over the years, as you know. Everything almost changes by the year, doesn't it?
And I know you had some big obstacles to overcome as well, because somewhere along that journey, you had a serious accident on your motorcycle, didn't you? And
you had to overcome that injury. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
It was just after Christmas 2005. I was coming home on my motorbike down Commercial Road, not going particularly fast. And a guy in front of me done a U-turn in his car while he's on his mobile. Completely took me out. I smashed into the car. Just by luck, it was a BBC film trauma crew who was picked me up. So it's all on film. But basically, I was picked up, taken to hospital. They figured that I got broken C1 right at the very top of my neck, which is still there, hasn't been repaired. There's no reactions at all in my lower body or from my chest down. I had trouble breathing as well. And they told me on the Saturday that I was going to be paralysed from the neck down, and I was going to lose my right arm as well. But the doctor said to me, we're going to keep you very heavily sedated, and I'm going to come and see you every day and see how we get on. So he literally strapped me to a bed into a very severe neck brace. And I was just sedated, John. I didn't know nothing about it for the next 2 or 3 days. It was just massively sedated. The only thing that I remember about it was dreadful concussion sickness. So I had a button in my hand, and when I felt sick, I just squeezed my hand. I could do that, and the nurses would just come and just inject something into my hand, just get rid of all the nausea, because I felt I was going to choke to death on my own vomit. But that was the worst of it. And then he came to see me on the Monday, and he said, I don't know what's going on here. He said, when you first came in, there was no reaction. You couldn't even breathe yourself. Now we can feel reaction in your feet and your hands. I'm going to come back in the morning and have another look at you. This is the Monday. And he came back on Monday, and they took everything off me. Bear in mind, I've been in this thing since Thursday night. And he said, can you sit up? And a couple of nurses helped me sit up. And next one was, can you stand up? So again, I've very shaky my feet, but I stood up. And he said, right, if you can walk down to the X-ray department with me and walk back, you can go home tomorrow. So literally, that was it. That was just, I had to do that. You know, it was slow and painful, but I managed to get around down there, had the X-rays, came back. He sat me on the bed. He said, I can't explain this. He said, I think it's your physique, because I was much bigger then. I was like 14 and a half stone solid. He said, I think your shoulder muscles, your neck muscles saved your life. And the fact that you fell on the right, hit yourself on the right side of the car, not the left. He said that would have saved a lot of damage, and you can go home tomorrow.
Wow. How's the turnaround?
But it was the worst, really, because I had to go. I went home and I went back to work the following day. I didn't take any recovery because I'd literally been divorced very recently, and I managed to buy a flat and had my children, and I wanted to keep that going. So I had to get up. I had to get to work. I didn't want to lose anything. So literally it was day by day, bit by bit, and just trying to get stronger and stronger.
And is there anything you learned from that journey that you think you apply to being a personal trainer today to your clients?
Yeah, because I think I got a lot of appreciation. Well, I had so many injuries, so many ops from that. Ended up having 26 operations since that day. But it's always something very fortunate to come out of all these things. Along that journey, I met a guy called John Green, who's one of the world's top post-operative physios. And of course, every operation I had, I was fortunate enough to have him. And his treatment was pretty brutal. They don't hang about. It's really tough work. And so it was almost like going to, every time I had an op, I had this incredible trainer getting me back very, very quickly from some severe injuries, So I learned an awful lot from him, and the rehabilitation training is just great work to do with people anyway, band work and all sorts of glute stuff, and just general all round, just a great way to strengthen your body anyway. I still do a lot of his work today as part of my workouts.
Yeah, I imagine the sort of stuff you were learning in rehab is actually very good prehab as well, isn't it, for anything else that might come along in the future?
Oh, I'm very, very big into prehabilitation before pre-op stuff, because I've got people fit out of ACL operations in 14 weeks when, as you know, the rehab situation for that is normally about 9 months. But I've got two people out in the same year in 14 weeks. So one professional dancer and one guy who's one of the top guys in the world in karate, because they both got that incredible mindset that they just wanted to get back in their sport. And so I get them as fit as I could going into their operations. And coming out of it was the same thing, applying all the stuff I learned through John Green, and got them back really quick, amazingly quick.
When it comes to overcoming an injury, so rehab, if you could give it a percentage, what percentage of it would you say is mindset?
Oh God, very, very high on that, John. 90%. 90% is mindset, and the rest is just actually doing the work, and doing everything with it. Doing the food with it, getting your rest with it. If you've got leg injuries, using the game ready, get that in place before your operation. You've got that there. If you've had a knee replacement or severe knee damage, you've got that. You deal with the inflammation immediately, and then your rehab, you can get into your rehab real quick.
It fascinates me, that side of things. I know that. So obviously the placebo effect is a real thing. So we have to make sure that when we conduct any kind of research study, we do like blind testing and things like that to ensure that and we have a control group, so we can make sure that we try and minimize the placebo effect as much as possible, because it's a real thing. And there's also a nocebo effect. So if somebody thinks something bad is going to happen, then it's likely they're going to experience certain side effects and things like that if they believe that they're a thing. So it's always fascinated me, this idea that is a thing. So imagine if we could actually just switch that on voluntarily. So rather than having to take a pill that someone's told us is going to work, don't even worry about the pill, just switch it on. And I guess that's what a positive mindset is in many ways.
Oh, massively, yeah. I've got a guy recently, he's 64, he's a big cyclist, and he's had a couple of big injuries lately. He broke his hip last year. He's part of a cycling team, and they had these trips abroad where there's 100 of them go out on the road, and he unfortunately had a big crash, broke his hip, and I had the operation as soon as he come home. I mean, when you see the pictures of these screws going into everything, he's back training immediately. He's rehabbing with me immediately, and he just wasn't going to accept that anything else. If anything, I was holding him back, just to make sure I didn't get any bad reaction. But he was back on a bike 3 weeks, maybe.
Wow.
That's 64 years of age. When you do that sort of injury at that kind of age, the mortality risk is very high in the next sort of 12 months. But he just blew completely through it. It's very admirable.
Yeah, we definitely have an element of control mentally over how quickly we recover, and even if we do recover at all. So like if you look at the data that shows that, people, I don't know if you know, but there's an unusually high number of people apparently die on New Year's Day because they hold out to see the new year in and then pass away. And so even that statistic alone suggests that we have an element of control over our kind of our death and how long we hold back on things. So it's really interesting. I'd like it if there was a lot more research done into it. I've watched some documentaries that show, there's one called Heal, it's on Amazon Prime, and that's about using mindset to heal the body. But at the moment it's all kind of portrayed as a bit sort of kooky and spiritual and all the rest of it. But I think I just wish someone would actually come up with the science, to back it all up, so we could explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, I recently qualified as I'm still in very much the infancy of it. I did a big course on breathwork and cold water therapy. And part of that was I did a trauma release section of it where I was, they're doing working it on me. And it was amazing, John, honest to God. It was just, and I'm always a bit skeptical of all this sort of stuff. As you say, the woo-woo. I can understand going to a gym, but when someone's trying to sell you breathing and cold water, it's quite a hard sell. Yeah, you've really got to believe it. But I had some incredible experience with it, especially with the trauma release. I had a couple of weeks there where they did particular breathing on me. And for the next couple of days, the whole world seemed to be slower. Everything seemed to be in slow motion. everything, all the colours were really bright. It was incredible. A couple of days, and then I had it again, the same thing. And I'm Mr. Skeptical, but the power of breathwork is definitely a lot to be looked into, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? As personal trainers, our toolkit is starting to get sort of bigger and bigger, isn't it? Of all the things that we can access and utilise to make people's lives better. You've had quite an interesting life, haven't you? Because I know that you were a competitive Latin dancer as well.
Yeah.
Has that influenced any of your training?
Oh, well, it all started really coming after my operation. After my neck break, a couple of years later, I just met someone and got into it, and then I just got the taste for it immediately. And within like a year, I was dancing in the Blackpool finals and things like that. And but again, the training for that, I was just massively overtrained. Really, I was dancing every day and doing a big job, and I was just forever on the point of overtraining. My weight had dropped significantly, but I mean, it was great fun. I can't do that kind of competition week in and week out anymore because I just don't have the time. But 7 or 8 years I did it. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Great fun, yeah. My wife's she's an ex-professional dancer. She danced in the Moulin Rouge in Paris and all sorts. So when we did our first dance at my wedding. Honestly, I was. It was like Strictly meets the Undateables. Honestly, I was went out of my comfort zone with that.
Well done, mate. You did it though. Well done. Very good.
Yeah, cheers.
Very good. I think it's I think as well as of all the sports I've done, and I've done many sports, it's definitely without doubt the hardest thing I've ever done.
Oh wow. Yeah, well, they say we don't watch a huge amount of it on the TV, but is it called Strictly, isn't it? Strictly Come Dance.
Yeah, Strictly, yeah.
They say in it, that everyone loses weight, don't they? Everyone that gets involved loses weight, and they all talk about how intense it is. So, yeah, fantastic.
Massively. It's extremely good though in every way. Mentally, I just couldn't get enough. I just couldn't get enough at one time.
Yeah, well, once upon a time as well, like back in the day, when we lived in tribes and things like that. One of our biggest sort of ways of spending our downtime would have been obviously socializing, singing, but they would have been dancing around fires and things. So it's become less popular as a culture, I think. Certainly in the UK, we don't tend to dance much these days, do we?
No, guys won't do it. There's plenty of girls won't do it. There's never enough guys in this country. Whenever when I was competing and I was searching for a partner, I just had, choice of so many. It's unbelievable because there just weren't enough guys.
No, blokes typically or traditionally have to get drunk, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Before they get on that dance floor.
Hope you enjoyed that. That is part 1. In the next episode, we carry on looking at how Ray's approach has evolved over the years, from breath work, cold exposure, to blood sugar management and longevity. Part 2 is where it gets very practical. That's coming up next week, so be sure to stay tuned then.